Now, my friends, those of us who suffer from what I like to call the Symmetry Syndrome will have to pretty much just look away, and it's going to be just glorious, I can tell you. Let me tell you, my friends, this took a while to get, but now I finally got all the piping, at least on paper, right? Hello there, I'm the Base Manager and welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. Today, we have to solve the problem of oxygen not being included in our suits, because yeah, we have a small oxygen problem in our map. We have delayed the industrial oxygen production for a little while, and that is now becoming a grave issue. As we can see, we have a bunch of suits that are inoperable because of the lack of oxygen, which is not great. Luckily, past me has created the space for us to start creating oxygen. This area is... Oh, nice. I was going to say this area is still a little bit cold, but nope. Nope, it is now within the reasonable temperature for us to start working on it, which is just fantastic. Pretty cool. So yeah, getting the oxygen done over here is going to be our top priority. After we get that done, getting into some more water production, or in this case, getting the water reclamation system going, would probably also be an extremely good idea, given that, well, we could use a little bit more water, and given that we are going to start producing oxygen in a industrial level, water is going to run out really quickly. Alright, my friends, so this time we are going to have a slightly different design than usual. We kind of want to go for industrial, right? So industrial it is, my friends. We are going to have 4 different lines of oxygen. One of them is to supply the base. Another one is to supply... I should have 2 lines supplying the suits, and then the 4th line is going to go into space. We're going to need oxygen in space. In fact, we are probably going to need to build another one of... Not another one of these, but a secondary bell-shaped oxygen production facility just to supply our starport. So I probably shouldn't even just like use this one for space, but whatever. In an initial stage, we are going to use this one for space, but once we have a proper and specialized oxygen production facility for our starport and our rockets, then we are going to make the switch, cut this line, and use it, for example, for oxalate production or for something else that we might need oxygen for, because oxygen tends to be an extremely useful thing. Right? Right. So, this time we are going to have 5 electrolyzers and 4 lines. The reason for that is, if we go over here, we can see that it produces a little bit over 800 grams, and 8 times 5 is 40. If you add... not 40. Yes, 40. Well, whatever. We are going to be producing over 4 kilos of oxygen a second, and every 2 gas pumps can vacuum or ingest, or whatever it's the correct word, 1 kilo per second, right? So if you have 4 sets, you can extract from this chamber 4 kilos of oxygen per second, which roughly is like the capacity, the amount of oxygen that we are going to be producing. We're going to be producing a little bit more than we can extract, but just a little bit. Nothing serious. And then on top we are going to have 2 gas pumps, because I kind of want to make sure that we have enough extraction for the hydrogen, so that we don't back up hydrogen simply because we cannot vacuum it all at the same time. I also need to center this better, a little bit better, but pretty much this is going to be the initial design. So yeah, time to get building, I suppose. Let's cancel that. And let's cancel these bad boys and this, and then we create an opening over there, and I think the dupes have access all over the place, so we just need to cancel those and those, and let the dupes build this part first, and then we build the remaining things. Now, my friends, given the space constraints that we have to work with, we won't be able to have a lot of storage available to us. I had to scoot these up a little bit so that we had a little bit of space to build storage. This is going to be pretty much one gas reservoir per gas pump, which is not like a lot, but it's a decent buffer, shall we say. And well, if we need more, we'll have to just build additional lines over where we have space, like for example over here. Having these gas reservoirs as a backup for our suits, probably not a bad idea, but still something that we'll have to see once we have the end result in our hands. For now, we just need to build these work orders so that we can deconstruct a part of the ladder to build the rest of the stuff. Now, my friends, those of us who suffer from what I like to call the Symmetry Syndrome will have to pretty much just look away, because it is impossible to center these 5 electrolyzers. We'll just have to pretend these things are centered, because even if I go like this, right, to have the electrolyze centered around themselves, they are not centered within the chamber, which is always unfortunate, but oh well, I suppose that we'll just have to pretend. Alright, my friends, so electrolyzers done. Automation. Now, I like every single time that I build one of these, I always forget something. Always. I'm trying my best to remember every single thing that I need, but I will end up forgetting something. So we'll just have to live with it. Usually I never forget something extremely essential, but well, let's just hope this time is one of those times. So what do we have in terms of automation here? We have a gas element sensor to detect if there is hydrogen in enough quantity to be vacuumed out by the gas pumps, with a filler gate plus buffer gate. This time I remember these ones. Very important to have them, otherwise just a single puff of hydrogen might activate this thing accidentally, and that is never a good thing. We want to have the filter gate and the buffer gate to take care of those eventualities, because if this thing just flickers for a second, it won't be able to pass through the filler gate, and that is just, you know, awesome. And then the buffer gate is here because, let's say we vacuum out a little bit of hydrogen, it raises by 1 tile, and then this thing goes off and they stop. We don't want that. We want to kind of vacuum at least 2 tiles before they stop, so they don't vacuum out any oxygen. So the buffer gate is there to take care of that. It will keep the pumps active for the set amount of time that we give it, regardless of this thing being green or not. And then we have these things over here, because the pressure inside of the chamber is very important to keep at a certain level, so that the hydrogen doesn't fall down and get vacuumed by the gas pumps. This kind of tends to happen if the pressure gets below a certain level. Once this thing creates the hydrogen, it won't immediately go up. It will linger around this area and might get sucked on by a gas pump, introducing a puff of hydrogen in our system and then eventually damaging something important. Once again, we don't want that. That's why this thing is here. This is going to keep the gas pumps from working if the pressure drops below a certain level, and I'm going to build 4 so that it's localized, right? Each set of pumps is going to be controlled by 1 atmos sensor, instead of just having these things all controlled by 1 sensor, which is, once again, not ideal. And yeah, these things over here will make sure that the chamber doesn't overpressurize, so that the electrolyzers are not working, you know, not consuming power needlessly. So yeah, that's going to be all the automation. If I forgot something, oh well, I can always break into the chamber, vacuum it out again, and then try again. If it is super important, that is. If not, we'll just leave with it. Then, water supply, well, given that this area is no longer at freezing temperatures, as we can see, right? It's a moderate temperature. We are going to use granite over here and over here, and then use radiant pipes made out of cobalt over on the electrolyzers. That's so that as the water is flowing through, is keeping the electrolyzers cold so they don't overheat. And because the water is going to be consumed, that temperature is going to pretty much, well, it's not going to be deleted, because I'm pretty sure that the water temperature has an impact on the oxygen temperature that is on the oxygen that is being produced. Is going to mess with its temperature, but because that oxygen is going to get well, let's just say I always have done this and it just works. Okay, it just works. Okay, so we are not going to question it. We are going to do this because we know it works. So, but that's pretty much the idea behind it. You are using the water to keep all of these thingies cooled off because they kind of tend to generate a little bit of heat as they tend to be working all the time. These ones don't need to be cooled off because they only get active like once every once in a while, so their temperature is going to be kept in check by the temperature of the hydrogen, which should never reach a point that is going to damage the gold amalgam gas pumps. Oof, that was a lot of explanation. Now let's get the rest of the stuff built so that we can clean it out and then start pumping all this junk out of here. But before we can do that, we need to power all of this. Well, my friends, the printing pod is our friend sometimes because it gave us a snazzy suit which we can print on the swamp planet, because Marie over here was without a suit and I was not going to send her 20 suits, so yeah. You know what, Marie? Now you are part of the club as well. Well, my friends, I think it's time to do a final check, see if everything is in order, and then we close off the chamber. So, let's take a look. When it comes to the vents, I think that everything is done. We have a vent poking out of the chamber, which means we can extend it whatever we want to. In this case, first we are going to extend them towards an exhaust high pressure vent, so that we can vacuum all of this, and then we'll redirect them towards the thingies, gas reservoirs. Next, automation. Once again, like I said, I think we are done. If I am forgetting something, whatever, we'll deal with it. So, no point in lingering around in that. Powering, once again, also ready. All we need to do is connect this. Everything should kick in. Pretty cool. All the lines, none of the lines is over the potential load, which is fantastic. And pipage for the water, also done. We already talked about this one, so let's not repeat ourselves. I think everything is done, and if not, well, we'll break open the chamber and try again. But now, let's close this off, and I'm going to pay close attention so that no dupe gets trapped in there. And we're close, my friends. We are now ready to start testing this thing. It was actually pretty quick. 6 cycles is... well, it's rather quick. However, we are not going to have this thing 100% operational because we still need to set up a cooling facility for the oxygen, but that's something for later. Let's not worry too much about that. Let's connect the power. Let's set up the automation so that everything is working. I want you to pretty much work if you are above 0, and over here, let's see, oxygen, or polluted oxygen, which is the thing that we have right now. All the things are now working, exhausting all of this, and we'll come back to this one once we have a complete vacuum in here. Now, my friends, while we are waiting over here, I think that the reclamation process can start. We can start building the reclamation system over here. One of the first things I'm going to do is just one tank over here for brine, and I'm going to put a filter over here on this line, so that we can continue pumping water into this tank over here, which is our main water tank. We kinda need that water now because, well, these things, my friends, they consume 1 kilo of water every second. We have 5 of them. We'll be consuming 5 kilos of water every single second. That's a lot of water, and we need to replenish it. In fact, I don't even think that this thing, working full-time, is going to be able to provide more water than we are consuming. So, yeah, that is going to be interesting. So, how about we start pumping this thing right away? Okay, my friends, so as we spoke in previous episodes, let me just double check that my dupes are not going to get stuck. They are going to get stuck. Why do I even trust that they get to do the things that... whatever, dupes, right? I'm glad that I got that. In any case, like I was saying, in previous episodes we discussed this thing already, but let's reiterate. We are going to have 3 tanks over here and a 4th tank over here. These tanks are going to be polluted water, brine, salt water, and this main water tank is going to be for clean water. We are going to have sensors that measure the level of the water, and then those sensors are going to determine which kind of filtration we are going to be applying should we need water in our main water tank. Or if the water level raises too much, the system will kick in automatically, converting the whatever kind of water we have in that tank into clean water that is going to go straight into this main reservoir that we are going to have over here. Pretty simple, right? So, with that in mind, I'm just going to put a filter over here, select the brine and pump it into this middle tile. And by the way, we are going to use airflow tiles because they well, pretty much the fluids won't touch them, and therefore you can put as much pressure as you want inside of the tank and it will never explode. Unlike, for example, normal tiles. That is not going to be an issue. I just kinda... To be honest, I just decided to do this because I felt like it, okay? Because using regular tiles for tanks this size is perfectly fine, nothing bad is going to happen, but still, I kinda want to use these ones simply because. Okay, so while our dupes entertain themselves building this, let's take a look at our chamber, and look at that, we have achieved vacuum. Pretty cool. Which means we can now set up the Atmos sensors so that they all work as intended, redirect the pipage, build a couple of storage and things to burn the hydrogen over here, and we can kickstart this thing right away. Okay, my friends, time to start this thing. So first, I'm just going to activate the electrolyzers so that we can pressurize the chamber, and I have set up the Atmos sensors over here to be above a ridiculous amount, so that these things never activate. We kinda want to have this thing pressurized first before we activate these things, because it's just going to have there is going to happen an explosion of gases all over the place, and we don't want to vacuum anything that we don't want to, like hydrogen, for example, right? So, let's build that, and then let's build that, cancel that and that. And now the water should start flowing in, and soon we are going to have an explosion of gases over here. And it's going to be just glorious, I can tell you. Yeah, you see? You see like that hydrogen just exploding all over the place. Beautiful to be seen, but not exactly ideal, let me tell you. And now we need to wait for the chamber to stabilize, for all these packets of hydrogen to rise up, so they stop being an issue, and then we can turn on the gas pumps. Alright, so the chamber has stabilized. I'm going to build the lines for the Atmos suit so that we can finally put some decent amount of oxygen into this suit. Look at this, like, ridiculous thing. I can't wait. I can't wait, I can tell you. And we are super close, super close. So, these things, 1400 grams, that pressure has been achieved, so nothing is working anymore. All the hydrogen has rise up, which means that anything that is produced from here on out by the electrolyzers should, you know, any hydrogen should go up and any oxygen should come down. That's why it's important to stabilize. If you have packets of hydrogen, they can get pushed around, and that's never good. Now, these ones over here, we are going to set up to be working if there is a pressure above 800 grams. Let's go like that, copy the settings, apply them, bam! And now, all we need to do is monitor this for a little while, make sure that the hydrogen is not vacuumed out by this. If it starts getting too close, we need to increase this pressure so that there is enough oxygen to push the hydrogen up. And from here on out, I kind of want to set you up to be... What is the hydrogen? Right there? There we go. Oh, and filler gate 5 seconds. Yeah. 5 seconds each. Should be good enough for now. Okay, so finally we have a decent amount of oxygen being produced, which is just fan-freaking-tastic. We can start thinking about stopping this line over here. For now we can let it run a little bit longer, but we won't be needing it for long. That also means that in a little while we'll be able to increase the amount of atmosuit docks that we have on each side, giving a little bit extra flexibility to our dupes when it comes to their pathing. For now we are just going to be using these two lines, but soon we'll add a third line. We just need to temperature control this thing, for the oxygen coming out from here first, and that is going to take a little bit longer, but for now we have no problem supplying enough oxygen, so we can take our time. Okay, my friends, so this thing I think we are done for. We shouldn't run into any issues. I had to reduce the timer on the buffer over here for now because I detected a packet of oxygen in this line, but after I reduced the timer over here, nothing happened again. We even managed to build this thing in a way that we incorporated the office area that we have over here. We can like imagine that this is a control station for our oxygen production facility, so pretty happy on the way that this thing turned out. It's just that it's a little bit larger than usual, so when we are aching for space, going for large stuff tends not to be ideal, but I kind of want to be prepared when it comes to oxygen, so that I don't have to worry about it like for a very long time again. So yeah, pretty cool. We are done. Next in line, thermoregulation system and the getting this thing done. First we are going to just filter the water that we have over here, and by filter I mean consume all of the clean and polluted water and send it over here immediately, and pick up all the brine and put it over here. In this case, over here, using this filter. After that, we'll set up just a simple filter system on top to determine what kind of water is coming in the pipe and dropping it in its respective chamber. The monitoring system is that is what is going to be complicated about this. So yeah, I kind of need to think about it for a little bit. Okay, my friends, so when it comes to temperature control, we are going to do something very similar to what we did over here, except that we are not going to use the hot side, because, well, the oxygen itself is already being produced at a decent enough temperature. As you can see, it's pretty hot in there, 36 degrees, pretty toasty. Yeah. Little bit hot in there, so if we require hot oxygen, well, we already have that. What we do need is a way to chill out the oxygen that we have, should we want to decrease the temperature of our base. The oxygen is going to be the thing that we are going to use to control the temperature of our base for the remaining of the playthrough. And where the hell does this water come from? Boy, always interrupting me, game. Please don't do that. I kinda need this thing to be open so that we can eject all the gases from there, so yeah, please. In any case, my friends, what we are going to do over here is deposit a little bit of water, and we are going to chill out that water using the secondary cooling loop over here. Yep, we already have some ethanol over here on the reservoir. If we need more, we can always input from here and put it over there. Pretty simple. But first we need to deposit some water over here and do the piping first. So we are going to use radiant pipes, probably made out of cobalt, because why not, right? The radiator doesn't need to be huge, because, well, this is cobalt, so yeah, this is big enough, I can tell you. Besides, we'll be using a lot of water. Maybe... Nah. This is too big, my friends, too big. Because this thing, once again, because this is cobalt. Perfect, perfect. And then we build. Oops! Don't do that to me. Come on. And then we build a wall over here. Put some water over there. Freeze that water, and that is going to be the way that we chill out our oxygen. Yeah, I need to deposit some water over there first and build the remaining pipes and all of that. Now, my friends, given that this thing is self-explanatory, it's the easy part of the build. The complicated part is going to be how are we going to control what kind of temperature do we actually need in here, hot or cold? Well, automation, of course. We are going to use 4 thermosensors, and that is going to give us 4 different regions of the base that we can individually input either hot or cold oxygen, depending on what is needed. Because, for example, this area we have the power plants, the coal generators, even though they are not working well. They might generate a little bit of heat. However, over here we have the fridge, and the fridge generates too much cold. So over here it's only logical that we are going to request more hot oxygen, while in here we are going to request cold oxygen. So we need different ways to control different parts of the base, and so that's why we are going to use the 4 thermal sensors. Now, my friends, let me tell you, if I thought the automation was going to be a little bit complicated, piping all of that oxygen, now that is going to be complicated, because if we are going to have 4 sensors, we need 4 lines. And, well, 4 shutoffs as well, and yeah, kinda, yeah, that's going to be complicated. So I suppose I'm going to stay like 2 hours staring at this, trying to figure out a way to pipe all of this, because well, we already have some things in the way that cannot be moved, so we have a added complication to our problem. Let me tell you, my friends, this took a while to get, but now I finally got all the piping, at least on paper, right? But the dupes still have to build it all, but pretty much we are going to have our 4 lines going towards 4 distinct points in the base. Each one will be able to be controlled by the thermal sensor that is close by. They are not exactly right next to the vent, because we don't want this thing to read the air coming out of this. We want the oxygen to dissipate all over the base before the sensor has a chance of reading it. So that's the reason why they are not next to each other. And yeah, there is going to be a lot, and I mean a lot, of pipage. But at least we are going to be able to reutilize this one over here. To connect over here into this line. All the others are already set up. We can then deconstruct this and all of this apparatus and reclaim some of this space, although I can't exactly see what we are going to do in here with that space, but oh well, I suppose that we will see later, especially after I vacuum all of this water from here and put it into the reclamation system. We might be able to redo some of these buildings over here. Oh, my friends, whoa, here we go, my friends. We see the fluid balancing system kicking in and having the fluid being divided between hot and cold. I saw the warning being displayed over here for the hot hot cycle number 2 over here, and I came in here immediately. Soon this thing is going to be filled up all the way to 1000 kilograms, because the hot cycle is now enabled by the automation grid anyway, so that should or maybe not, until we have the cold cycle active again. This thing is not getting any more ethanol, because it's also putting into the system. Makes sense, but yeah, at least now that I can see this thing in action, and I'm not as concerned about coolant levels in here as I was before. Well, my friends, believe it or not, this thing is getting expensive. We are starting to run low on minerals. And on ores as well. For example, if I go over here, build one of these, as you can see, our ore supply is not exactly the greatest, I should say. So I'm going to start a massive digging project for our diggers to start doing their thing, while the builders are building the this system over here, right? We could use all of the materials that we have over here, from igneous rock to copper, and there is still plenty of useful materials that we have over here. However, we can go over here and we can start requesting the good stuff. I already sent all the iron ore that we had. I'm not going to send all the cobalt ore because we might need some metals over here, but everything else, like for example granite, igneous, like you know what, send everything. If we need, we might send it. If we need more minerals, we'll send them back, or we can just mine more stuff. Marie over here is the soul dupe, taking care of this part of the taking care of this base. But given that there is not exactly a lot of things that need to be done, she is more than enough to take care of anything. So yeah, I'm going to start chipping out all the materials that I can from here, and eventually we are going to send some dupes back so that we can take advantage of all the volcanoes that we have over here. There is plenty of stuff still to be mined and reclaimed, but right now we have more pressing matters. Okay, my dupes finished the construction and I didn't even notice it. Okay, so yeah, so how is this going to work? Pretty simple. We have our automation, which I assume is already done. Yep, it's just that we haven't yet set it up correctly. Here we go, 21 degrees on that one, 21 degrees on that one, and 21 degrees on that one. So pretty much we want to have the base at around 21 degrees. That's why we set it up like that. All the automation is writing into this ribbon. And now is this writing everything into the same bit? Yes, it is. So now we need to kind of see which lines are going towards each sensor so that we know what bit controls what shutoff. So yeah, let's just give me a moment. Okay, so each sensor is now associated to a different bit, and I already figured out which one is which. So this one, well, I made it in order: 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's pretty much, I think, this one writes to 3. This one over here is 1, which is this one over here, and this one over here is number 2, and this one over here, which goes and writes over here, it's byte number 4. Okay, a little bit not confusing, but whatever, we don't really care too much about that. So, as I was saying, each sensor writes to a different bit over on this line, and then we have different readers over here that will control the shutoffs. Green signal means cold air, red signal means hot air. We have a NOT gate over here, and I completely forgot to do this. But that's fine, it's the final step in the automation over here. And yeah, that's pretty simple. The NOT gate will convert the red signal for the hot air in a green signal so that it can activate the shutoff. And we are going to be collecting hot air from this line and cold air from this line. I said I was going to use this for something else, but well, I'm pretty sure we are not going to be consuming all of this oxygen, so we can create a small bypass over here so that once the tank is full, we can send that oxygen somewhere else. So that's not exactly a problem for future me, so we'll still have the oxygen available to get the oxalite, for example, in the future. Well, I mean, the colony needs someone to do the tidying and supplying around here, right? So I was looking at nails over here and I was saying, tidying plus 7 strength. Oh, not bad, not bad, not bad. Pacifist and then mechatronics engineer. So yeah, we have a plumber or a gopher, whatever we decide to do with nails, capable of also doing mechatronics stuff, which is just fantastic. So I'm not going to think about it too much, and I'm just going to print here. Nails over here. Now we have 1,000,000 calories and a bunch of oxygen, so we can just start printing how many, all the dupes that we feel necessary. Feels good to disassemble our very first temporary setup for the oxygen. It's nice to move on from temporary stuff into permanent stuff. I mean, we already had disassembled some of the temporary stuff that we had over here, but this one was the most significant build that we had to build that was also temporary. So pretty cool. Okay, my friends, so now that we have our oxygen set up and ready to go, we need to start thinking about the water, and water levels are starting to drop dramatically, my friends. This thing is not being supplied at an enough quantity that we can increase the level over here. No, 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 no. We are consuming a lot of water, and so the reclamation project should be one of our top priorities now. So yeah, like the reclamation part itself, separating what types of water go into which tank, that part is easy, it's just a bunch of filters. Nothing too fancy about that. However, the reclamation, the choosing what kind of water to be filtrated to be turned into clean water, now that is the interesting part. So yeah, and also, given that we are going to start getting really low temperatures over here, I think it should be a good idea to start tapping into this one over here and this one over here. So my idea is quite simple. We are going to use the cold water that we have over here. More lines will have to be built. Yeah, this area is getting a little bit confusing. But yeah, I'm going to move this line and this line through like a tiny radiator over here. Not really a radiator, like what are they called? Metal tile. A few metal tiles over here, and as this thing goes off, the steam touches the metal tiles. It turns into really hot water, and then that really hot water is sent down here to kind of help even out the temperatures between the cold fluids and the hot fluids, and eventually everything should be relatively stabilized. Okay, my friends, when it comes to automation for this thing, I was going to do something complicated, and I have to be honest, it's been 40 minutes that I have been staring at this, and yeah, out of the blue, a new idea has come up, something so much simpler that it just renders all of this useless. Well, it's quite simple. We are going to accumulate all the water types until a certain level is reached. After that level is reached, we convert a set amount of water into clean water, and then we store the rest for our use for, things that we might need. For example, timber reeds, one of those examples. All of the water that is converted comes into a large water tank. Whenever we feel like we need water over here, determined by two sensors, right? One when we have the need for water, another one for when the tank is full. We don't want to overfill this thing, so we are going to need those two sensors. Whenever we need the water, we just pull out of the main water tank, and that's it. If we get too much water, we just have a safety signal to stop any water conversion and give us a warning to deal with the situation. So yeah, instead of having a bunch of wires and AND gates, NOT gates and whatever, I'm just going to do something far simpler. Okay, my friends, so now that we have determined that this kind of automation is far more simpler, we also need to start taking care of siphoning off all the sources of water that we have available, which means getting these ones going, this one over here and this one over here. Now this one is going to be controlled using the temperature of the uh, brine and polluted water that we are producing over here. That way we are going to both tapidize this water and chill out the steam into clean water. So we have a two in one over here, right? And we are going to use a door system like we have on the temperature control system, one of these, to determine if the temperature inside of the pipes is not too hot, because sometimes the temperature can get a little bit extreme, and I don't want the temperature of my water to rise to ridiculous levels, right? Maximum, let's say, like 30 degrees, and if the water rises above that, we then close off the door, preventing any further heat from transferring from this chamber into the water inside of the pipes. Alright, my friends, so over here we are almost done. I think it is time to expose this vent. This is going to be a little bit messy right now, because we are going to have this thing spewing steam, spreading water all over the place, but to be honest, look at the amount of mess that we already have around here. I think a little bit more is not going to be too much that we can't handle, right? I want to vacuum this chamber. I want to get rid of all of this polluted oxygen, polluted water, polluted everything. I want to have a vacuum where we only have steam inside of this chamber, because otherwise we might get, I don't know if this thing is contaminated with slime lung or not, but we then get the slime lung in the water, is yucky and messy, and it's better this way, trust me. This thing is going to break eventually, but as long as we achieve the vacuum first, if it breaks afterwards, I don't care too much. This liquid pump is made out of steel to prevent any problems of, this thing breaking, so that we don't have to break into the chamber. And other than that, I think that's it. Going to mine and expose the steam vent, clean out the chamber of all the debris that we have inside of it, and then vacuum it out, close it off, and call it a day. Alright, my friends, so now we can see the system in action in a crippled fashion, because it's not fully done, but as we can see, we have the two lines, they come through here, we have this system to transfer the heat from the cool steam vent into the metal tiles, from the metal tiles into the, in this case, brine. And in this case we are also temperizing the brine a little bit, increasing its temperature slightly, which is good. Now that this thing is about to erupt, I have to stop the gas pump, otherwise the steam is going to condensate in the pipes, and that's terrible. Stop. There we go. And yeah, this is pretty much my life for the past few cycles. I have been waiting for this thing to chill out, and then I activate the gas pump, and then I once again wait for the cool steam vent to activate so I can turn it off. Blah 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 blah. Now I still need to finish up the line for the polluted water, but I kind of want to finish vacuuming out this pool of water first before I get this one done, because they are going to be using a similar lines, and yeah, it's just not convenient for now. Alright, so finally I vacuumed most of the stuff. There was like a few milligrams, but the steam explosion just deleted it, and now we are able to just siphon off all the water from the cool steam vent, because as this thing was spewing steam, the polluted oxygen was creating a layer between the steam and the metal tiles, and this thing was overpressurizing very quickly, but as we can see now, the pressure remains somewhat stable because of this thing over here. And yeah, we'll be able to get a bunch of water from this thing, especially because it's always active, and it's active for a very long time. So yeah, this one over here is tamed. The other one is going to take a little bit longer. I probably am going to let future me deal with that. Oh, and I didn't even spoke about the automation over here. This is just so that we always have a layer of water, and we don't extract extremely hot water from here. We have a... Although I kinda don't see a way for the water to chill out, because yeah, the water is not touching that, so this wasn't a very smart thingy. The idea was to have the liquid pump only activate when the water was below 30 degrees, and once again we have a significant layer of water. However, I might have to nullify this sensor, because I don't see the temperature dropping in this thing. So, oh well, we'll transport extremely hot water, and we will find a way to even the temperature with the remaining fluids that we already have available to us. Okay, my friends, so we are closing in on the end of the episode and on the end of this thing, building this thing. However, let me tell you, cleaning out the tank is probably the thing that is taking the longest. Like, there is so much garbage in here that is not even, like, look at the amount of work orders that our dupes have to go through. Oh well, it is what it is. Now, like I said, we have a simple automation over here that determines if this thing is going to work or not. If the max level is reached, a signal is sent, then the water sievers get activated until the level drops down until it reaches this point, after which a signal will reset the entire system, stopping them from working. The same is going to happen to the desalinators. That's pretty much how it works. It's going to send the water over here, and then we are going to use this pump to send it back to our main water tank over there, should we have receive a signal from this thing. But yeah, there is still plenty of stuff to do around here, and not a lot of time, so I hope our dupes hurry up. And I also quote-unquote repaired this chamber as best as I could. I even gave it a window and everything. Once again, we have a monitoring station, let's call it, for our reclamation system, the same that we have over here for our oxygen production facilities, right? I think that incorporating these buildings whenever possible gives it like a beautiful touch, let's say. Well, my friends, for all intents and purposes, this thing is done. It's just a matter of waiting for the dupes to finish all the final work orders, but yeah. The filtration and reclamation system is now operational. Pretty much all we have to do is start channeling the waters from these thingies over here all the way over into this side of the map. It's a long way, to be honest, but what can we do, right? So these things are going to fill up. Once they are full, they are going to be filtrated by their respective buildings, and whenever we need water, we just siphon it off from this tank. I'm also going to redirect the hot water that we have over here into the main water tank over on this side, because I'm pretty sure that the water that we are going to filtrate from both of these tanks is going to be extremely cold, and so it's going to even out over time. With the hot water from the steam cool vents. You know, they are trying their best to clean this mess up, but I suppose that this is going to be something for the future. Everything is ready, everything is done and built, like even the automation is already done. So now it's just a matter of getting these tanks filled up and then getting them started in the conversion process. For the water, and there is only one final thing that we still need to build, but that's going to be, shall we say, messy. A individual line for the water from the cool steam vent over here. We already had the water pressure necessary to start sending it, but well, I don't want to send it back to base immediately because it's extremely hot. And yeah, kinda want to have a separate line for that one. That's probably for the best, I think. Well, my friends, this cycle is almost up, and this image over here almost exemplifies today's objectives. Water and oxygen, and we got both of them going, which is just fantastic, my friends. I'm pretty sure that in the next episode we are going to start poking into the stars. We need to start venting all of this nastiness out of our base anyway, so it's time to start poking the surface and see what we have available to us. The future holds space travel, I suppose. But in any case, my friends, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode and that you are enjoying the series so far. If you are, please consider subscribing and help the channel grow. But in the meantime, this is the Base Manager signing out. Bye bye.